Holly knows what happened to an extent, but I haven't been completely honest with her to how bad it's gotten.
Holly has moved to South Africa to be with Wayne. His house has been broken into 3 times. His dog has been murdered. Things are so bad that he's had to build his own DIY pepper spray weapon, and he's banned Holly from going out alone. But guess what? It's about to get even worse, because now we learn Wayne has been hiding the true extent of his financial worries. How much can a girl be expected to handle?
It's expensive to move, like it's
yeah,
not
you
cheap.
never go over any of that stuff with me, so I need to know, I don't know how your money works. I need to know all that stuff if I'm gonna get incorporated to living here.
Yeah, well, maybe you should have done that before you said you'll marry me first.
Cue a very defensive Wayne. But before we dig into his lies, let's rewind back to the start. So we left the pair shopping to get Holly some modest clothing. Now, Holly has a very unique style, a style she's very attached to, one that's a key part of her identity. But unfortunately, her miniskirts and her dresses don't live up to Wayne's South African standards. He thinks people will get the wrong impression of her, and that will pose a risk to her safety. But the way he's gone about expressing this has left Holly sobbing in the changing rooms.
Just upset.
I know.
Wayne called me. He said I was like a prostitute.
Wayne just used that word and he didn't mean it.
So what exactly did Wayne say? What were his exact words?
Chris, more modest.
Yeah.
Because, like I told you, I was scared people, they grab you, they think you're single, they think you're a prostitute.
He definitely put his foot in his mouth, but while he didn't say that she necessarily dressed like a prostitute, what he said was people might see her miniskirts and think she's a sex worker. I mean, there's a very fine line between the two of them, and either way, you can totally understand why Holly has been hurt by this comment.
That was humiliating.
You never humiliate you. I mean, that's how South African people would portray you. Because that's what comes to mind when you see a girl with a short dress.
Now look, the truth is, the streets of South Africa, particularly in certain parts of South Africa, are very dangerous. It has some of the highest crime rates in the world. No one's saying this is fair. In an ideal world, women would be able to dress however they want, wherever they want. But South Africa is far from an ideal world, and Holly's being ignorant by not accepting that. On the one hand, she wants Wayne to sell his house so that they can upgrade and buy a house in a gated community, but on the other hand, she's not willing to wear a dress that goes past her knees.
You don't have to change your clothes right away.
Yeah.
You can do it in moderation. For now, you wear what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
Okay?
Uh-huh. Okay, I'm ready to go now.
Holly's a strange girl. Her long hair, her heavy makeup, her juvenile nature. She's very eccentric. It's becoming evident that something may be a little off with her. You definitely notice it in this scene. She's avoiding eye contact. She's really jittery. She doesn't seem present in the moment. And that, combined with her pale skin and her unwashed hair, creates a very distinct, alarming image. So with today's attempt at shopping well and truly over, we join them the following evening with Wayne attempting a different strategy to keep her safe. He's taking Holly to self-defense class.
Why are we losing power so frequently?
Because it's Africa, it's crap.
I'm tired of not having power. It's a lot.
Holly's 44 years old. Wayne is 40. Yet somehow, it feels like Wayne's driving his teenage daughter to class. Everything about Holly screams Peter Pan syndrome. She has a very childish personality, a naivety about the real world. She likes pretty dresses and having her hair like Rapunzel. And that's not to even mention the fact that she's brought her mum along to chaperone her, despite the fact she's 44. But all of that is just her. That is who she is. She's not going to change now. So if she acts like a child, well, what does that say about Wayne?
I just want Holly to be happy in South Africa. Today I'm taking Holly to a self-defense class because I'm sort of hoping this is going to help her if she's in trouble,
Does Wayne like taking on this dominant protector role? Is that who he is? We've seen that he definitely likes to be in control with Holly. He masks it under the guise of worrying for her safety. But at the end of the day, control is control, and he's very controlling. Like, he wants to control what she can wear and when she can even leave the house.
I know that you always have the best intention with me. But what's it gonna take in your mind to say that I'm capable enough to go out by myself or jog or, what point is when that happens?
Wayne's reply? Well, it could take anywhere from 6 months to a year. He wants Holly not to leave home without him for up to a year. Wow. Alarm bells are ringing, and they're ringing really, really loudly.
A year?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if this is Holly's childish nature that makes Wayne feel like more of a man, or if it's the fact that Holly just plays into this. She allows it to happen, which just feeds it even more.
When you learn how to be safe, when you learn how things are done around here, how to be more aware of your surroundings, then I think I can let you out the cage.
The cage. Wayne, you really need to tone down your language because that is f***ing worrying. Holly's not a little child, she's a grown-ass woman. And judging by her face right now, she looks like she's regretting letting this go this far. So it's good that she's taking things into her own hands. It's good that she's learning how to protect herself without the need for Wayne. Now, her instructor for this self-defense jiu-jitsu class starts off by explaining that he wants to show her moves that might be applicable in real life.
I'm not going to teach you how to disarm a guy with a gun or a knife because...
Yeah, because it's not realistic.
It's not, so we're going to work on how to choke somebody, get up and run away.
Okay.
These aren't hypothetical punches in the air. And to demonstrate this, he asks a much larger man to grab her from behind. A very similar kind of situation to what Wayne was worried about for why Holly shouldn't wear short dresses.
Like people, they grab you, they think you're single, they think you're a prostitute.
Holly picks up the technique and the moves very quickly. It's quite impressive seeing her floor this much larger opponent. But the problem is, as Wayne sits there watching, he begins to question how useful this lesson really is.
But now you get 3-4 guys that break in.
Well, obviously I can't defend myself.
Yeah,
with five people.
but this is reality. This is what I'm telling you.
This is like if I go jogging.
Look, Wayne's home has been broken into 3 times. They've murdered his dog, for God's sake. So I understand why he jumped to the worst case scenario. I get it. But let's be realistic here. This is her first lesson. And heck, even a trained martial artist with, 20 years experience is going to have a tough time taking on 3 men if they're armed. He needs to have some perspective here. He can't use that as an excuse to keep her locked away for a year. Holly needs to live a life. She needs to be able to go out alone in exactly the same way as the rest of the country does. So would it help if they moved to a safer neighbourhood, to a gated community?
One of the biggest concerns I have is the house has been broken into 3 times. And so I don't think that I'll ever really feel like South Africa is my home as long as I live in the house that we do now.
So as they stand there discussing this issue the following morning, Holly reveals to Wayne that she's taken the initiative to organise some property viewings for them later on today. But there's a problem. Wayne isn't on board with this. He becomes really defensive, and away from Holly, privately to the camera crew, he explains why.
When Holly came down the first time, she's seen that my business was a success. It was flourishing. After that, I lost one of my biggest contracts I had.
His business has declined, and while he doesn't say that he's in financial difficulties, he doesn't say he's broke, what he does say is he can't afford any better right now. Which raises the question, and it's an important question, why have these two settled on living in South Africa? Neither of them are particularly safe there, and as a licensed plumber, it's not like he's going to have a shortage of work wherever he goes in the world. Plumbing's the kind of job he'd easily be able to do in the States as well. Surely they should have that conversation. They should talk about money, right? Well, unfortunately not. Because when Holly raises that issue, it seems to touch a nerve.
It's expensive to move. Like, it's
Yeah,
not
but you
cheap.
never go over any of that stuff with me, so I need to like know. Like, I don't know how your money works. Like, I need to know all that stuff if I'm gonna get incorporated to living here.
Yeah, well, maybe you should have done that before you said you'll marry me first.
Now, that response is really quite worrying. For a start, they're not married yet, and even if they were married, that still doesn't give you free rein to hide things from your wife. The fact that he thinks he can do what he wants or hide from her what he wants because she said she'd marry him makes you question what else he thinks he can get away with once he's got a ring on her finger. She's a human being, Wayne. She's not property. You can't just keep her in the dark about everything and lock her away for a year. That's not how marriage works. And I think he realises this. He understands how snappy and how off-putting that response was, because he immediately changes his attitude.
You have sacrificed everything, and let's go look. Like, it's not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt to go look, and I'll keep an open mind. Maybe I even like the place. Who knows?
No, Wayne, from one extreme to the other, but you can't just keep lying. The right thing to do here is to be honest. Treat the woman you love like an adult, not a child, and share with her what's happening to your business. Give her all the information she needs to decide whether or not marrying you and living in South Africa is right for her. Because you've got to remember, this big move comes with sacrifices on her part. Sacrifices like...
I jog at night.
That is in the US, babe. Like, you're in South Africa now. I'll
That's what I'm
explain
saying.
this to you.
Wayne, if you marry a goth woman, you need to cater to her needs. Like jogging in a graveyard at night. But in all seriousness, he can't just lie and trick her into being with him, because that's a recipe for disaster.
Until my financial situation changes, I can't afford to move. But I'm sort of thinking, like, I'm taking everything away from Holly. Like, I need to try and give her something.
So with their marriage in just a few days, we're soon gonna learn exactly what kind of man Wayne is. Will he be honest with Holly? Or will he use the fact that he's lured her to an unsafe country to slowly chip away and start controlling everything about her?